Hi everyone, my name is Juan Pablo Candela. I wanted to do a short video of the key things that I think you have to be aware of when you're putting. There are a lot of technical ideas out there, a lot of methodologies that I think are going to be useful. So if you think that your stroke is actually the problem, definitely go see an instructor because we're not going to get into that here because I think golf is putting is more of a mental game, but there are a lot of technical things that might get in the way. So if that's the case, definitely go see an instructor who's qualified and who knows, hopefully who knows you as well. But the three ideas that I wanted to discuss today are basically the things that I do when I'm in trouble. When I'm in a tournament and I'm in trouble, the things that I go back to. And that first idea is I want to make sure always that I'm doing a free-flowing swing. I don't want there to be any tension. I don't want to be holding back. I don't want to be restraining the motion or just trying too hard to make it. I want to make sure that the putter head basically moves freely in my hands. Danny here at the Black Iron Golf Academy says that your swing has to be alive, and I like that metaphor. You want to make sure your swing is alive and not some just a block of a swing, right? You want to make sure your hands are lightly placed on your putter and that you move back and forth with freedom. The second idea that I think is critical is you have to be very mindful of where your focus is. If your focus is in somewhere other than your target, you're in trouble. If it's in the future, if it's in the past, if it's in your body, I don't think you can be a consistent putter if you're not thinking about where you want the ball to go. If you look at kids putting, and you ask them, where is your focus, right? Unless they're too young, they'll tell you my focus is on the target. And that's exactly where it should be. So definitely be very aware of where you're centering your attention because that's probably one of the most easily overlooked things when you get to a green and when you go to a tournament. You're not focusing on the present on the present moment and more importantly on your target, right? The third thing that I want you to try to do is to actively work and train on the first two things. So it's not enough to just say every once in a while, oh yeah, sure, my swing looks pretty natural, right? Not enough. You have to actively train this free-flowing motion. You want to make sure that there's every time you go on the putting surface, you want to be mindful of that. Same as with the second component, which is your attention. You want to be mindful of where your attention is, and you want to make sure that you're training your focus when you're in the putting green. It's not enough to try to focus when you're on the course or when you're in the tournament. You have to be mindful of where your mind is on a practice day and on a putting green when there's nobody around. You have to have the discipline and the focus to really make sure that what you're doing in that day, in those few putts that you're gonna hit, you're actually going to remember that practice when you go to a course, and you can transfer it in that way. So there's all this, almost science of deliberate practice, which I think is consolidating, and there's a lot of new information and studies coming out of that. And I think it's important. That's where instruction is going to go, which is helping players train better, practice better. So with those three ideas, I think that's kind of what I go back to every time I'm in trouble, which is make sure your swing is alive. It's free, it's natural. Close your eyes if you have a hard time doing that. Make sure you can feel what a natural free-flowing stroke is like. If you're having trouble with your focus, try to hit a lot of putts looking at the target. I think it's going to be very useful as well. And for the third thing, just organize your logistics, organize your time so you can have time in the putting green when you can actually focus. You want to make sure that the time you spend on the putting surface is time well spent, in the sense that you can actually remember the practice when you go to the golf course. If you cannot actively recall it, and if you cannot go back to the routines you practice on the putting green, you're going to be in trouble. But with those two ideas in mind of having this free-flowing stroke and having this very, very target-oriented focus, very much target-oriented, then it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. So I wish you the best. I hope these ideas can have some good and positive impact on your putting stroke, and more importantly, on the fun you have whenever you're on the green.